suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod, and I want you to know that this show, very near and dear to me, the path back to school success. Yes, it starts now. I want you to know that I taped this exactly a week ago today because while we're premiering this episode, I am on jury duty. Yes, that's right. Now, we are hoping that my jury duty will be over within a couple of days, but we're going to tell you about what shows that we're going to be airing, and we hope that we're going to be back here live on Wednesday, that it's going to work out that way. I just have this good feeling that it will. And so just want to make you aware that, this show, we taped it a week ago, but it's premiering today because this is an important parent-to-parent talk for us to have. I want you to know that tomorrow we're doing part 2 of the diagnosing autism with Dr. Grant Pichet for Ask Dr. Doreen. And then on Wednesday, this is amazing, and I'm going to tell them at court they really need to make me available on Wednesday morning because we have Rachel Taylor who is scheduled for Wednesday. She is an amazing clinician, done very many things. I can't wait for her to talk about what she's doing right now. She has a very interesting perspective. And we are scheduled to have her on the show for the first time. I don't understand that. On Wednesday. But if we are not able to do that because I'm still on jury duty, we have a great show that we pre-taped a couple of days ago with a wonderful self-advocate, Caden McElwain, that we will air that. But we're going to get to see that one way or the other eventually, but I would really love to do the live show with Rachel Taylor. So let's fingers crossed, right? But today, very important topic that we're talking about because, we're in the dog days of summer now, right? Where it's that extended period of time where there's not really a holiday and we're trying to keep our kids entertained and engaged and making sure that every waking hour is an educationally enriched environment. But also, can we admit that this is where we've already, we had plans for the summer, we had goals that we were going to set out. And now we're in that part of the summer where it's like, oh man, I already messed the whole thing up. If you're like me, maybe you're not, but this is sort of it's a refresher course into what we want to do at this point in the summer and how it's pivotal right now. The things you do right now in the summer set your kiddo up for success in the fall. Yeah, it's true. Because even some of you are going back in just a couple of weeks and some of you have 6 weeks before you go back, but you're going back soon. And we can throw our kids into the deep end of the pool and hope that they're successful. And sometimes you have to do that. Let's be honest about that, right? But sometimes you have a choice. I'm giving you the choice right now to change very minute things to get them ready for a successful fall. And believe me, your life will be easier because it's so much easier to move incrementally than big, rapid changes. Let's go over a couple of things first. In terms of this show is premiering live right now, which means it's live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can write in on any of those platforms. I would love to tell you that I'm watching. I might be. I'm at the courthouse. Who knows whether I'm watching or not? But possibly I'll be responding to your comments. But it's possible that I might have to do it later on. But we love when you guys interact. We love it when you write in with questions or comments or tips of your own. Very, very critical. Chris Desmond, who is amazing. We are so lucky to have Chris Desmond. He has already started to show you some of the different things on the screen, ways that you can interact with the show. Don't forget that the show exists on our YouTube channel. We've been doing it for 14 years, but we podcast the audio. Every place that you can download a podcast, you're able to get it for free. That's really important to me. When we started doing this a long time ago, the mission was for us to provide this information to you guys for free, anybody who wanted to find it and needed it, right? Because there's so many things we know, and I don't want you to have to pay for information. There are other places where you have to pay for information, but I don't want you to have to do it here. So you can download the stuff for free. That does mean that there are advertisements on the podcast because it does cost. We hope that you embrace that. If you really feel very strongly about it and you want to get the ad-free podcast, you can by paying $5 a month yourself because we have to defray the costs. It just is a reality. But there, Chris has it on the screen, glow.fm/autism live. You can go there for $5 a month. You get everything the Autism Network does ad-free for $5 a month. It's a pretty sweet deal. And if you pay for it by the year, like most things, they give you a discount. So that's super cool. So great, wonderful. We hope that you will participate in whichever way you can and that you will like, share, review, subscribe, all the things, whatever flips your switch, and tell other people about us, because we do not spend money on advertising and marketing. We just don't. I would love to, but we don't have that kind of budget, and everything we have, we put back in to giving you guys information and inspiration. That's why we are here. Okay. So what I'd like to do, excuse me, is go through, I've got 10 tips with a bonus tip. So technically 11, I think. I'd like to go through them really quickly for those of you who are in a big hurry, and then I'll go through them and give you the 411 about them later on, but just want to, for those of you who don't have time. So let's go ahead. And, we always give a disclaimer. My big disclaimer is you have got to start by forgiving yourself for all the things you didn't do that you said you were going to do. Let it go. It was summer. It's still summer. Forgive yourself for it. Forgive yourself for all the things that you did do this summer. Maybe like diet got a little crazy. Maybe the bedtime got a little crazy, right? But let's work on it in baby steps. And you want to always be kind to yourself and to your family. So if you didn't get all the tips we gave you before at the start of the summer, don't panic. Don't panic. It's okay. It's life, right? But let's see if we can't tighten things up so that we get better success for the fall. Okay, let's start with number 1. Slowly roll back the bedtime. Woo, let's do it a little by little. We'll talk about this in a minute, but this is a big one. Then on the other side, slowly get up earlier. That's huge. Okay, number 3, we're going to tell stories about the new adventure that we're going to go on in the fall, because that's critical. Number 4, we're going to shop for new school stuff, because that is one of the great joys in life, and it helps set you up for success. I'll tell you why in a minute. Number 5, we're going to drive to the school on a regular basis. And you know what? We're not going to go the same route every time. We're going to go different ways, and I'll explain why in a second. Number 6, we're going to visit the school, the classroom, if possible. Makes sense, right? Number 7, we're going to plan something special when we pick up our kids for the first day. We're going to come up with something special that we're going to do. Number 8, we're going to communicate with the teacher and the staff, and we'll talk about what kinds of things we're going to communicate. Number 9, we're going to plan one fun thing before school starts. And I really want you to plan it. We'll talk about that in a second. Number 10, we're going to have a play date hangout with a classmate. Woo, that one's going to be a little harder, but we'll give you some tips on how to do that. And then number 11, which is the bonus, we're going to make a memory of now, and I'll tell you the 411 about that. These are my tips. Now I love to hear from you guys. Does that make you overwhelmed, or does that make you go underwhelmed and go, that's pretty easy? I expected her to give me something life-shattering. I got to be honest with you. If you only did 6 of these, it would definitely make things different for the fall. So you could pick which 6, but if you only do one of them, that could make a big difference. Let's go back to the beginning and let's talk about why these things are so important. So number 1, and I do feel that this is the number 1 thing that I wish you would try. To slowly roll back the bedtime. Now, this isn't easy, right? But it's so much easier than trying to do it the night before school, because it's not going to work the night before school. If your child has been staying up until 10:30 and bedtime is really 8 o'clock at night, because they have to get up at 6 to go to school, and you suddenly the night before go, okay, well, now I need you to go to bed at 8 o'clock. What kind of luck are you going to have? They're not going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. They're not going to do that. They're going to lay there and lay in bed and worry about what tomorrow is going to be instead of dreaming happily about what tomorrow is going to be. So we don't do things big and desperate and throwing people in the deep end of the pool. We just don't do that. It's not successful. What we do is we incrementally change things so that they don't notice. I always give the example of when we do daylight savings time, right? Whether we're springing ahead or falling back, there's 2 days in the year when we change the clock by 1 hour. And it freaks people out so badly that accidents go up, and that there's people legislating saying, let's stop doing this because it messes people up so much because we're changing it by a full hour. And yet every day the sun changes by like a minute and a half, and it's a nothing burger for us. It's literally a nothing. It takes like 3 months, and then all of a sudden we go, oh my goodness, it's dark, earlier. Or, oh my goodness, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light, and we didn't notice until something called it out. But it wasn't jamming us up. Nobody is having a car accident on a daily basis because the sun changed by a minute and a half. What does this tell us? That it is kinder, it is gentler to do things slowly. Now, it might be that your child is going back to school on, August 1st, and that you've only got a week to try to move it. And I'm going to tell you, don't try to move it an hour in a week. You're going to jam your kids up, and it's not going to be what you hoped it would be. But still, do the minute and a half. You will still, at the end of the week, you'll be, if you count in the weekend, you're going to be 7 to 10 minutes earlier than you were before, which is not nothing. And you will know what time to put your child to bed so that they're actually going to sleep. So it starts with taking some data. I know it's like, I don't like to take data, but you can do it very informally. To do it on your phone and just keep a running list of what time your child's going to bed, and then start moving it backward, minute and a half. There are some other things that you can do to set yourself up for success with this, which is wear them out. Wear them out. I loved that when my son was little, I was looking at all my friends who had older kids and trying to go, there's lots of different parenting styles. Whose parenting style do I feel has been most successful? And there was one woman amongst my circle of friends that she had these 2 teenage boys that were killing it at school. They were engaged and interesting and interested in all kinds of things. They were swimmers, and they were on the swim team, and they were winning all kinds of awards, but they were super polite, well-behaved, nice young men. And I remember saying to the mom, how'd you do that? I want to follow in your footsteps. How'd you do that? And she said, oh, it's totally simple. You want to have good, happy kids, you got to run them like dogs. And I was like, what does that mean? What are you saying? And she said, you wear them out on a daily basis. Let them get their physical stuff out. It's what's really good for them. I don't know, that's not my go-to. I got to be honest, because I'm not an exercise person, but I do think that it's, when you can do it, it's really good. Here's why. Have you ever taken your kid to Disneyland or someplace like that, where it's a long day of lots of fresh air and lots of walking? We're not running a marathon at Disneyland, but there's lots of, engagement and fun and exciting things. And do you ever have to work to get your child to go to bed after that? No. Why? Because they're tired in the best possible sense of the word. So find things to do for the next couple of days as you're trying to wean the bedtime back down. Wear them out, take them to the pool, make them swim laps, for a reason, have something fun that, you do 12 laps and you get X, Y, or Z, but wear them out. Have races in the yard. If it's too hot to go outside and you can't afford to take them to one of those indoor gyms, make your house an obstacle course. Rearrange the furniture. Tell them we're gonna move all the furniture into the middle of the room because we got to clean the baseboards around the outside of the room, and put on some good music and dance around and throw the pillows and do all that stuff while you're doing it. But the fact of the matter is, it will wear your children out, and they will be more likely to go to sleep and sleep well. So wear them out. But then also, it's time to reinstate some rituals that have worked for you in the past. That if the ritual, I remember when Jem was little, we had the ritual that we would go for a walk, and then he would take a bath, and then we would dry skin runs in my family, so he'd get a full body massage with all the lotion, and then we would put the jammies on. He would get to hold an apple, and we would sit and we would read books, and then we would move into the bedroom, and I would sing to him and tell him stories. Right, that was the bedtime ritual, and everybody's bedtime ritual is different, but whatever works for you ritual wise, like I really look back and I think that some of it was just the progression of it. But I think that like full body massage with the lotion and then putting in the fresh jammies, I think that was really helpful. And I think being in the water was really helpful for him. Whatever works for you, reinstate some of that again so that you're sending all the signals of, oh yeah, I've done this before and it makes me tired, right? And then the biggest one that I say is read. Because if nothing else, it's helping your child. And you know what I always say, which is read with to, or have your child read to you, whatever is appropriate and whatever mix is appropriate. Your child is little, you read to your child, but have them interact with you. I love the Usborne books that there's always the duck on the page, but the truth of the matter is you can make any book interactive, that you say, okay, you read the page and then you say, okay, point to all the trees. Where is a tree? Point to all the shoes, whatever you want to do. I love the book, We're Going on a Bear Hunt. And whenever we would read that, there's no duck in the book, but I had done the Usborne thing. And so I was like, where's the baby? And he would have to point to the baby. And I would say, where's the dog? And he would point to the dog, because on every page, the baby and the dog are there. And those are two things that he was really keyed into. If we were out at the grocery store, he was keyed into the dog and the baby always. So it kind of naturally flowed. But at that point, you're reading to your child, but asking them to interact. A little bit later, when they're learning sight words, you have them read a couple of words. I love those intermediary books that we had a whole set of them that were Scooby-Doo, that you're reading along and then there would be an icon, a picture. So it would say Scooby-Doo ran behind that and there'd be a little picture of a tree. So I would read Scooby-Doo ran behind that, and my son would take his finger and he would point at the tree and say, tree, right? And I would say, good job. And we love the finger in the beginning when they're reading to follow along, so that, because a lot of our kids run a little dyslexic, right? So following along, you're helping the eye to focus so that they know where they are. So he would point to it and say tree. And he loved that he was reading it with me. So eventually, as he learned sight words, we took it up a notch, and then we read the Geronimo Stilton books, right? And which are very large print, easy to read, but chapter books. So, and there's like a paragraph and a picture, right? So sometimes he would read a sentence and I would help him through it, and he'd have his finger reading along with it, right? And then I would read with my finger, so his eyes are learning to track, right? And then we would talk about the picture. And at that point, we started saying, what do you think is going to happen on the next page? Huge. If you can get your child to predict what is happening, they're engaged. And then gradually we got to the point where he would read a page and then I would read a page. And he would read a page and I would read a page. Then we got to the point where he would read a chapter, I would read a chapter. And then we got to the point where he would read the chapter to me. And eventually we got to the point where he would just read to himself. Now that was hard. I miss it even still. I said to him the other day, I wish we could read a book together again. There was one summer where he and I were both reading the same book, but we were reading it separately, and then we would discuss it. And I have to say that when he was in high school, I deliberately took us on long road trips, and we got books on tape. And so we would listen and then discuss afterwards. Please, 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 please. Part of it, when you read to your kids, it relaxes their bodies and they're easier to go to sleep. But even if they don't go to sleep, you've read something together, you've bonded. And I still say that having your child read aloud, it is a skill that will serve them the rest of their lives. And not being afraid to read aloud in front of someone, also critical. So those are some things to help you, but slowly get that bedtime by a minute and a half. And the truth is, if you're not starting school until mid-August, that's going to get you a significant amount of time. Is it going to get you as early as you want to be the night before school? Maybe not, but significantly earlier than you were. But then that leads us to the next one, which is number 2, which is slowly getting up early. Oh my goodness. If you're like me, like my child's an adult now. So, he's keeping his own hours, but they're crazy hours. Can we just admit they're just crazy, crazy hours? But we want, if we were doing this with a teenager or a younger kid, we would need to get back control of this. And this starts with, we have to make it fun. Don't be waking your kids up to clean the kitchen floor, because who wants to do that, right? They have to have something to look forward to. There's a reason why we're getting up early tomorrow. And that could be as simple as, whatever the thing is. I can think of a dozen things off the top of my head. For our kids who love airplanes, it's like, oh, we got to get up early tomorrow because we're going to go to the airport. We have to do it early because we're going to watch planes take off. Then suddenly they got something that they want to get up for, right? Or maybe we're going to go to breakfast someplace that they really love. Or maybe, we have to go to the pond to feed the ducks in the morning because they're going to be hungry, right? You give them a reason to get up in the morning. That's something that they want to do. Please don't wake your kids up early in the morning to take them to do something they don't want to do because they're going to be surly all day. It's not going to be a good day for you or for them. Give them a reason to get up. Make sure that it's fun. And start adding in some morning routines that when we're going to school, we want to have a really tight routine. By the way, there was just a bunch of press that came out about the fact that people with ADHD, that one of the biggest things that helps them are having set pockets of routines. And this makes so much sense to me, that there is a morning routine that I do these 12 things and then I'm ready to go. And that helps with anxiety and it helps folks with ADHD. Which I believe that it helps our kids too, because that's very adjacent, right? So we can make a visual schedule on the wall and say, try to keep it so that it's not 12 things. It'll end up being 12 things when they're adults, but let's try to keep it pretty simple. So maybe they're on the visual schedule. There's one that's getting dressed. There's one that's eating breakfast. There's one that's about brushing their teeth and whatever, and packing the bag. And the clock says we get in the car at this time. And you just make the visual schedule so that you are not yakata at them. You just point to which one you're on. And my son loved when everything was a race. I don't know what it was, but it was like, how quickly could we do it? And then he would do it and he would love it. When I remember we lived in a condo and so hard because there was no place to park that's close to go up the stairs to your condo, right? So you park on the street and you got to walk down the long sidewalk to get with groceries. I mean, what a drag. And it was hard for me as a mom that I'm trying to deal with him and we're by the street and he's an eloper. But what I learned was if I said to him, okay, we're going to race. Because maybe I have to do it 5 times, go to the car, get the groceries and have him. But I would say, okay, so here are the rules. We're going to stand here. Mommy has to get 2 bags of groceries. And then I'm going to say go. And whoever gets to the front door first wins, right? And then I'd say, okay, I need a rematch. We'd do it 5 times. And suddenly he's safe. He's having a good time. And we were able to get the groceries upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, every kiddo is different, but that was something for him. So in the morning, it would be, okay, here's this first one, we're getting up and we're getting dressed. How quick can you get dressed? Ready, 1, 2, 3, race, right? And he would love it and he would get dressed and all would be great. You need to decipher what makes it motivating for your child to be able to do those things, but quickly and efficiently. But we're building this routine, these little pockets of routines. This is the morning routine. So start to do those now. If you have been lax on those during the summer, because most of us have, right? That we're going to get up in the morning and the first thing we're going to do, is this, and we're brushing the teeth and we're eating the breakfast and we're building that expectation. This reduces anxiety and gets us ready for school so that on the first morning they're not overwhelmed by, oh, we're doing this and this. Oh, I didn't know we were doing this again. Do it now, but add it in slowly, one thing at a time, and make sure that you do breakfast. I know a lot of people in the summer, breakfast gets a little sketchy because if you're not getting up until 10 o'clock in the morning, do I eat breakfast? Do I eat lunch? Do I eat brunch? It all gets a little wonkinator, right? Let's get back to doing breakfast and make that fun too. Like, what is a fun? I love breakfast. I was somebody who never ate breakfast, and I am known in my family, all the kids know, you go to Aunt Shannon's and I'm going to lay out a spread for breakfast. There's going to be every color in the rainbow of fruit that's going to be on the table. There's going to be options that you can have, and breakfast is going to be this fun conglomeration. And even the people in my family who don't eat breakfast are like, oh, Aunt Shannon's doing breakfast. Love, love, love. It's a great start to the day, and it's a great opportunity to connect, take everybody's litmus test, see where they are, plan the day, and have something fun. So please do breakfast. As a former teacher, and when I started teaching, I was not a breakfast person. I just wasn't. I wasn't a person that liked to eat breakfast. But I watched these kids, and I watched them come in the morning and be fine. And about an hour and a half later, that they literally would just lose all the energy that they had. I would just watch their blood sugar drop. And then the school that I was at, they instituted a free breakfast for all program where every single kid, without exception, nobody had to submit a thing saying what their parents made. They just put out food, and anybody who wanted to eat breakfast ate breakfast. It was an epiphany for me how different those kids were in the classroom. Totally different. So please do breakfast with your kiddos. And it doesn't have to be huge, and you don't have to lay out the most huge spread, but your children need to eat something. And what they eat is up to you, and how much they eat is up to them and to you. But do something, and always, rule number one is make it fun, right? Breakfast should be fun and engaging. Okay, let's go on to number 3. So number 3, I think, is pretty important too, which is telling stories about the new adventure. And I think, you have choices about milestones that you can make no big deal about it, right? That, oh, you're going from 3rd grade to 4th grade, and this is going to be your first day of 4th grade. You could do nothing, or you could choose to be really horrible and make your child afraid of 4th grade and be like, oh man, wait till you see all the work that you have to do in 4th grade, and it's just going to get harder each year, right? I don't think anybody's going to do that. Or you could make the choice to build up this experience as something wonderful. I always love when I meet kids on the spectrum or not on the spectrum, and whether they have the ability to vocally talk to me or not, I will always inquire about how old they are and what grade school they're in. And my answer is always the same. I'm like, that is the best age. That is the best grade. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what I love about that grade? And then I always have something to put in there, because we can be positive, right? And that's really what this slide is about setting the cobblestones down to say, this is the path to a new adventure. Oh my gosh, you're going into 4th grade? 4th grade is so amazing. You're going to get to do things that you've never gotten to do before. You're so lucky. Oh my gosh, I wish I was going into 4th grade again. Kids love that. They absolutely love that. And then there's at least one marble in the mix that's like, oh, maybe it is a good thing, because maybe it is. So we want to make it fun. We want to pair good things with it. So we say things like, oh, you're going into 2nd grade. Oh, you know what 2nd graders get to do? They get to do, and then you fill in the blank with something that you were going to let your child do because they were a little bit older anyway. Like, oh, did you know that 2nd graders are allowed to get their own juice from the refrigerator? Yeah, it's a thing, right? And you just sort of build these things in and pair it with good things like, oh, it's cool that I'm a 2nd grader. I'm okay. I just think that that's a much more fun adventure, because there's so much else that gets said, right? And you don't know what your child has picked up from somebody else. I remember one year that it was, it used to be that at the last day of the year, you got your report card, before they sent you home, and it would tell you who your teacher was next year. And then all the kids would compare notes and they go, oh no, you got so-and-so and she's terrible. She's a mean teacher. And then you'd worry about it all summer long, and it would turn out that she wouldn't be a mean teacher. But you know what I'm saying? Why would we torture kids and let them think, oh no, I have something more to worry about? Why wouldn't we put hope in their backpack? That's what I want to do. So make whatever they're about to do this really exciting new adventure, and tell them stories about it and say, oh my, tell them stories about when you were in that grade. I remember when I was in second grade and my favorite part of it was this, this, and this. Or, you know, what I heard that you do in Miss Williams' classes, that you do X, Y, and Z. Make it exciting for them. And you can make it about the new school year and what grade they're going into, or you can make it about their age, or you can make it about the time of year that, oh, fall is coming and I love fall because then we're going to do the pumpkins and we're going to do Halloween, and like pair all of it with good things. If they're associating going back to school as this like amazing thing that's them having more autonomy and building their self-esteem, fabulous. I have one friend that her son, I don't know who said something to him when he was younger, but they really emphasized with him, oh, well, that's a baby ride and you're too big to ride that anymore. And nothing else was said after that. So every year that he has a birthday, he's like, I don't want to get older. People die when they get older. He has paired all of these things, and they're available. If you want to talk about them, they're all available about, well, you know, you can't ride that ride anymore. You can't, you're too big. You can't do this anymore. That behavior doesn't work anymore because you're older. We could focus on all of that. I just don't think that's productive and it's not kind. Instead, you know, I'd like to go back and re-legislate for him and say, well, you know, congratulations, you're too big to be on this ride. Do you know what ride you can go on now? This one. And it's reserved for people who are older like you. Only people who are as tall as you can get on this ride, and emphasize the positives of that, right? Yeah, because otherwise we get stuck in this, oh no, getting older is bad. And there's no reason for that for our kids. We want to make it fun for them. So tell them stories. And there are books, by the way, for every grade that there is, about anxiety about going into the grade, anxiety about the new teacher. You know, they all have different names, but go to the local bookstore and go to the kids section and you'll find them. Ask somebody there and say, show me the ones, like show me the one for, oh no, I'm going to second grade, or the third grade rule, or whatever. And read stories about kids that are exactly that age going into that year so that your child has good associations with it. Okay, let's move on to number 4. We're going to shop for new school stuff. I got to do this over the weekend. This is the time of year, y'all. It starts in mid-July and everybody is having these redonkulous sales. I was at Walmart yesterday and I got notebooks for 46 cents. I mean, you know, if I go any other time of the year, those same notebooks are going to be $2.99, and they do it to get you in the door. But, you know, I was going to come in the door anyway. And having new notebooks and having new pencils and new pens and having them at a great discount is a great thing. But it's also a little bit about, it's not just the tools, right? But the tools are important. And I do think some teachers have a list at Walmart and other stores of things that the child needs. Some are lazy and don't do that until later on in the year. And I kind of want to like kick them with a pointed shoe because everything's on sale now. And I wish the teachers would just buy a vowel, because you can go and buy the colored pencils right now for $1.27. And if you wait until September 10th, when they give you the list, it's going to cost you $5.99. So, you know, push your teachers to give the list early so that you have the big savings. Because the number one rule here is don't overspend. I've done this before too, where you buy 1 million pencils and then you're like, okay, they don't need 1 million pencils. Give them away as Halloween gifts, as the Halloween instead of candy. Kids love pencils. But don't overspend. Get what you need. stock up for the house so that you have things to do homework and those kinds of things. But I really encourage you, take your child, have them pick the things that feel good to their hands. You'll end up using 9/10 of it or donating it, but make it really special. Go on an outing with your child, make it fun. Don't be in a big hurry, shop the sales. And I really encourage you, and I know I get a lot of flack about this, but I used to say this to my husband all the time. We have to make it special. And that we're in the business of making it special for our kids. And we send messages to our kids about, is this special? Is this not special? So for instance, well, I was raised, you have to have a new pair of school shoes to start the new school year. It was really because our feet were growing, but it was paired with, it's very special. Mom takes you shopping, you get a new pair of shoes. And when you get to school, you're wearing a new pair of shoes. When I'm facing a big meeting or something, I'm sure I'm not the only woman, like something that I got to do, I will go buy myself a new pair of shoes because it makes it feel special and like this is a new adventure, right? I also think, it's a great time of year because stuff is on sale to stock up on the underwear and the socks and things of that nature. And I really advocate, if you can afford it, a brand new outfit that's for the first day. I like it for a couple of days, but it's what you can afford. That's why I say shop the sales. Your kids are growing, so they need clothes at some point anyway, but something that's new and you're telling them this is special. It's for the first day. I really like it when we take pictures on the first day too, and you look back and it's that outfit and makes it super special. Now, why? Why? Because again, we have all these choices, and if one of the choices is to make our kids feel like they're special, why would we not do that? Why would we pick anything else? If we show them it matters and you look fantastic and you are ready to go to school, it sets a tone for them about this is huge. This school thing is important. It matters to mom and dad. And our kids, I know a lot of people are like, my kid doesn't pick up on that. I guarantee you, they absolutely do. When you're taking time with something and being particular with it, our kids, even our kids that are the most impacted, that have the least language, notice when we're doing something different. So I really encourage you, get some new stuff. Make sure you get a backpack that doesn't have holes in it, right? Now, new doesn't necessarily mean new. It could be new to you. But if you are in the business of handing things down because you have a lot of kids, that's fine too. But make sure that every year that they get something that is just theirs, that is new. That's critical and important. It's self-esteem. We can argue, is that a good thing? But that it's attached to those things. But it is a way of giving them self-esteem and letting them know that they matter and this thing that you're going to, and it builds the excitement, right? Okay, we're going to school. I got new pencils. It's very, very exciting. Okay, let's go on to number 5. All right. On a regular basis, while you're out and about, just, randomly, you're going to drive by the school. And you can make it a treasure hunt. I want you to make it fun, or you could just be like, oh, we're going by the school. Make it really positive. Don't take the same route every time. We don't want to have rigidity. We don't want to be freaking out the kids, but drive by and go, look, there's your school. And I like to word it that way. That's your school, not the school. It's it's your school. Oh, I love that place, right? And then we go home. In a second, we're going to talk about actually going in, but I think it's important to just normalize their school and have it be a big nothing burger, right? That nothing traumatic. I'm not asking you to do anything. You can make things fun, that maybe this is the day that you go through the drive-through at McDonald's and then you drive by the school. You're pairing. It works. It's a psychological technique. If we pair that every time we ride by the school, that something positive is happening, then we're more likely to want to go there. I'm sorry. It's psychology. It does work. So make it fun, be positive, but do drive to and by the school. Now we'll go on to number 6. And I believe that that if possible, and I really think that it's important that you call and ask nicely, if you can please come on campus. And if they're okay with it because they know that your child is on the spectrum, then ask if you can do it more than once. Get what you can, right? But it's a great opportunity to go and visit whatever they'll let you see. If they'll let you go to the teacher's classroom, do it. It won't be decorated the way that it's going to be when on day one, right? But it's still the classroom. If there is a lunchroom, go sit in the lunchroom. Ask them if you can bring a lunch so that they can see where it is that they're going to do. We know that rehearsing things reduces anxiety. So we don't want there to be this question mark in their head when they're talking about you're going to go to school, about where is it, what does it look like? Be as positive as possible. Go in the bathroom. Check out the bathroom. Go out to the field where they do the sports and things. Go, if they have a multi-purpose room that's used for lunch and theater and gymnasium, and look at whatever you can look at. But make it as fun as possible. If you're doing something fun while you're there, or you immediately go do something fun afterwards, because it's like, wow, we went to your school. Wasn't that fun, right? Keep it positive. That's the main thing with all of these things. Okay. Number 7, I think that this is critical. Planning something special after the first day. We had where my son went to school, there was this place that's an arcade, and it has bumper pool, like little cars that you drive in a swimming pool, and it had a go-kart thing. And so that was our tradition. And there were a lot of people in our town that it was like back to school day, and then everybody would go there afterwards. And I just thought it was a great, great thing, because he was so excited about the first day of school for so many reasons. Like, he got to take his new backpack, or he got to wear his new shoes, or he got to wear his new Cars themed, this is how long ago it was, Cars themed shirt, or he got to see a friend or whatever. But if all else failed, he knew he was going to get to go to Mount Asia afterwards. Right. And that was fun. And that we were going to go to Mount Asia, and we were going to play all these games or whatever. And then we were going to go home and have dinner. And that made that day exciting for him. And I should really ask my son about how much of that he remembers. But when he was little, boy, he loved first days. He was like, let's do it. He couldn't wait to get up and go to school in the morning, because pairing is powerful. I'm so glad that I put that on this slide, because pairing is like, woo, electricity. So plan something special. I know other people that do pancakes, like it's just a tradition that we have breakfast for dinner on the first night of school. I love that. Whatever your thing is, but let's make it something special and something that's super fun for them. So we're pairing first day of school, you get fabulous things. Something fun, right? Those two things are connected. Okay. Number 8, communicate with the teacher and the staff. I would start doing that right now. If by now, they have assigned your child to a teacher, and you want to be asking who that is. If possible, I would ask to have a brief IEP meeting the day before or 2 days before, or to have your child meet them beforehand. Always be positive and grateful with the teacher from the start. If you see that it's not going to work out, rather than get contentious, pull your child out and ask to be with another teacher. But in the beginning, go with an open mind, right? And I think it's important to really start the interaction with your teacher by being so positive that you say, I am really looking forward to volunteering. What do you need in your classroom? And they'll tell you. They will tell you. They'll be like, oh, I need a room mother. Oh, I need this. You know what I've always needed? I've seen teachers put a parent to work and say, what we really need is somebody to write a grant for us for this equipment that we're getting. And it all worked out, right? So ask about volunteering. Remember that it's critical that you volunteer in your child's school, whether you're going to a public school, a private school, whether your child is homeschooled, but they do group activities, volunteer. First of all, it shows people there's a real delineation. Those of you who are teachers know that there's this rhetoric that goes around about how teachers just want to, they'll sit and say, well, parents just want to drop their kids off here. We all know that's not a true thing, but sometimes teachers get into this little thing about how, parents don't care about what their kids do while they're here. It's not true. But for whatever reason, they put parents in two different categories, the ones who drop their kids off and the ones who are involved. You just want to send the message out the gate that you're one of the people who's involved. So you start by saying, I'm looking forward to volunteering. Do you already know? I remember one teacher at the start of the year saying, oh, we just need Kleenex all year long. We're given these like tissues that are like industrial wallpaper. And, if one parent can donate a box of Kleenex every month, as she said, it would just make my whole life. And we did not have money, but I went to Costco and I bought her, a big case of Kleenex and brought it the next day. I was like, from my family to your school family. And she was like, oh, they feel heard. And they realize you're going to work with them. And that's the mode that you want to send. Now, I also love the parents who take their child's IEP and BIP, and they put it in a sheet protector. And sometimes they put magnets on the back and they give it to the staff, whoever is going to be working with their child, and saying, you probably already have a copy of this, but I took the liberty of laminating it or putting it in a sheet protector so that you can hang it up, whatever, so that it's there for you if you need it. It's a little pushy, I'm going to be honest, but it also, if you've also started with, I'm going to be planning on volunteering, you send the very clear message, this parent's going to be on it. This is not going to be a parent that and very quickly you're going to get back a teacher who's like, oh, okay, you're going to be an on it parent and you're going to work with me and I'm excited to work with you. Or you get back a teacher who's paranoid and like, well, I don't know why and I would be very wary of that teacher. Like, just monitor it. And if you need to move your child, move your child. I always look back to 6th grade and we had the IEP meeting the night before school started. And I remember calling a dear friend the next morning and saying, oh my gosh, I don't know this teacher. She's just like, I'm getting all the wrong flag signals. And that person said, you got to pull him out today. And I said, no, I have to give her a fair chance. I have to make this work. And I was wrong. Like, I should have pulled him out. You're going to have to find that for yourself. But if they're not excited about you volunteering, it should be a red flag. Just going to say. And if they're like, if you offer them support materials and they go, I don't need that because I already know everything, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. Pay attention to the red flags. Number 9, I want you, before school starts, to think of one fun thing to do with your family between now and then. And it could be a 1 hour thing. It could be a 1 day thing. It could be a several day thing. It could be a 1 week thing, right? Whether it's that you go to some place that's fun or you have something fun that's happening, but I want you to do something that you haven't done in a while. It could be something that maybe it's going to the beach and you go to the beach every summer, but plan. And I want you to actually plan it. And I want you to involve your child in the planning for it. You could sit down and say, okay, we've got an assignment. We have to do one fun thing before school starts. What should it be? And have them vote, but then have them be a part of planning every single aspect of it. So, okay, we have to have fun stuff that's in the car for the car ride. Let them help to plan what that stuff is. We have to pack a picnic lunch. Let them go to the store with you and pick things and make the menu and plan it. Because planning is a very big deal in the course of learning things, right? How to plan for something, and how to plan for something super fun is a very educationally enriched environment. And it's going to give you this opportunity of, school is such a big deal that we got to do something super fun before it happens. Don't word it as, okay, well, we got to squeeze one more fun thing in because once school starts, we'll never have time to do anything fun again. No, that would be the wrong tactic. We're building things up and making everything exciting and everything educational. But here's what I know to be true. You won't ever regret it. I know sometimes it's hard, we're tired, and planning something is just like, you won't regret it. First of all, you won't regret the memory, but second of all, it helps instill in your child. When we teach things to kids that are on the autism spectrum, we teach from one category of thing and another category of things, and then we try to put it together. That's executive function skills, putting it all together. So, you learn how to get dressed, right? And you learn each individual thing there, but then, and you learn how to pack your backpack, right? But then we put it all together with, we're going to plan to do this and plan to do this, get in the car and get there on time. That's how we get to success. So planning, it's a really good thing. And if it's something super fun, you'll never regret it. It'll end up being a big memory forever. On to number 10. One of the things, and this could fit the last one as well, double duty, is see if you can have a play date or a hangout with a classmate that your child already knows from the class that they're going to be in. Now, sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes you're changing schools and you're going to a new school and you don't know anybody yet, right? But then I would do the play date hangout with a classmate from last year to remind them that we have these relationships and these people are different from me, but we have fun together. You want to make it as fun as possible, and always you want to keep it positive. It could be that you reach out to the family and say, hey, I remember one year that we reached out to there was the one young girl that Jem had such a good time with. She wasn't going to be in his class the next year, but we reached out and said, hey, we're going to go to the Griffith Observatory. Do you want to go? And we met them there, and it was a great day, and it was a great day for him. And the truth of the matter is that they were off to different schools after that. I don't know that he has actually seen her since then, but we always talk about that day. Oh, remember when we went to the Griffith Observatory? And he remembers her from that. So such a fun thing to be able to do. Just meet a family in another place and maybe just go to the movie. It could be all kinds of fun things, but it solidifies for them. Yes, I remember, I have friends. I got this friend at school. It's a very fun thing. And then my number 11, because I just couldn't bear to leave this out, is to make a memory of now. Days fly by, my friends. And especially when we have a kiddo on the spectrum and you're so busy with I know you're like, Shannon, I got speech and OT in amongst all this and summer school and ABA. And like, what are you asking me to do? But I'm going to tell you that the time flies by no matter what you do. And you want to be marking it because our children's memories are very interesting. That until they have lots of language, memories are based on pictures and language put together. So before our kids have language, this is why none of us have memories of when we were, or extensive memories of when we were babies, because we don't have a place to categorize it. There are all the time that people can be taken back and regressed into early distinct childhood memories, like for traumas and things like that, because the memories are there, but they're not categorized in the brain. It's some of the reason why trauma is so hard to untangle sometimes. But it means that the good stuff is in there too, you guys. And, but it doesn't have like a file folder category to be like, oh, these are foods I like to eat. And oh, these are things that scare me, until they get the language. So creating a memory of now is a really vital thing for you and for your kiddo. I really encourage you. It can be as simple as making a poster. And I'm a big fan of going to the dollar store and getting a sheet of, you don't have to pay for the expensive butcher paper, but you can go and get a 99-cent roll of gift wrap, and the back side of it is white, right? And then you take that and you can draw pictures on it of now, or you can take pictures and print them out, or go and get them at CVS and get the 1 hour photos, which are so convenient, and make a collage of the pictures. Or you can get fancy with it and make a scrapbook, and then keep each one of the years of pictures. But it is important to commemorate the time with your child. It will help strengthen their memory. It can be something that they go back and look at in later years and they will remember some things about it because they took the time to make the memory of it. But it also helps to say, this was this time, and now we're going to go do this. So this is this moment. It helps to transition, right, away from this thing. So I will tell you that you will love these. Whatever you end up making, and be creative. Like I'm saying, do it on paper and use pictures. But the fact remains, you can make a sculpture of now, right? Make some sort of a memory of now. You could make friendship bracelets, but it's something to commemorate this memory of now, that we were here, we did this thing, and it was super fun. I love the movie Come On, Come On. If you've not seen this movie, I cannot give it a higher rating. And I'm going to do just a little bit of a spoiler alert that there is a scene in the movie where an adult is saying to a child, they've had this amazing experience, and I'm going to cry already. They're having this discussion about, okay, well, now we're not going to be in the same place. And at one point, the child says, am I going to remember this forever? And the adult says, I don't know, because that's how childhood is, but I will. I will remember this forever for both of us. And I think when you make a memory of something, and it doesn't have to be literal, right? It doesn't have to be pictures, but it can be, right? But it can be, like I said, the friendship bracelet, something like that. But it solidifies, this is the memory of this moment, and we were connected. That is a huge, huge gift that you can give yourself and give your child. That feels like a safety net for them. I am loved. I am here. I matter. And my time matters. That's really what you're saying to them. And I think that is the launch pad for success for whatever is next. And school can be hard. Let's be honest about that. And going back to school can be something that can create a fair amount of anxiety. But if you will take whichever of these tips, I will tell you, honestly, whichever one you were like, oh, that's the one I don't want to do the most, is probably the one you need the most. But, you do you. But pick a couple of them and try to institute them now, because it will make it easier for your child, and it will make it easier for you, and it will put them on the path to back to school success. If you wait, like we all have that option, we've all done that. Just remember to be kind to them on that first day. If nothing else, make that first day fun by going someplace afterward, right? Or making special dinner or whatever it is. I love school, and I love the whole back to school time of year. It was very poignant for me yesterday when I was back to school shopping and buying pencils and things like that. My son does that for himself now, but I still go and buy stuff for the house and things of that nature, and stuff for him to put in his backpack because I enjoy it so much. And I got a little emotional because he's a senior in college. For all intents and purposes, this may be our last back to school season. I got to get some foster children or something. I can't have this be the last back to school. So make it a fun time. Don't make it a stressful time for yourself or for them. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. Make it fun. Let's set them up for success. Let's make this the best school year ever. Now, you'll notice that I didn't include all the things like, read your IEP and da-da-da-da. We'll have another show as we get closer to school about things that you can do for you that are more to do with that road of things. This, I wanted it to be the connection with your kiddo, having the summer be as successful as possible, and adjusting those time things so that it's not hardcore. Your child's up till 2:00 in the morning every night, and suddenly we expect them to get up at 6:00 and go to school and be like, woohoo, it's working for everybody, right? All right, my friends, let me tell you again that you're watching this while I'm on jury duty. So tomorrow we are replaying, because I'm on jury duty, with Ask Dr. Doreen, the Diagnosing Autism Part 2. So make sure that you tune into that. Then on Wednesday, if all goes well and I'm done with jury duty, we will have Rachel Taylor joining us, and that will be so interesting. If I am still in jury duty, I've pre-taped a show with Caden McElwin, an amazing college student who's a self-advocate, and we will air that on Wednesday. Otherwise, I will be here. So all to the good. I'm very excited to see whether I see you on Wednesday or not. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.